What if I told you Reason 13 just changed the game for music producers everywhere? Now, to be clear, the slew of changes that have been implemented will do one of two things. One, either they'll speed up your workflow, or two, slow you down. But only temporarily. Keep watching and I'll show you the features that will shave minutes from the time it takes to execute an idea for Reason pros, and perhaps hours of frustration from the time it takes to execute an idea for Reason newcomers. Reason 13 is all about allowing you to create
faster
with a smoother workflow. But before I jump into what's new this time around, let's debrief Reason 12 so we can have something to compare the new 4-point upgrade to. Reason 12 was released almost 3 years ago on September 1st, 2021. It featured a beastly update to the Combinator, a cool sampling device called Mimic, an updated browser, and high-resolution graphics. Reason 13 builds on this with some useful new tools and enhancements designed to eliminate the headache of getting around in the software, and also adds some new creative devices to top it off. The updated sequencer in Reason could either be the most liberating thing or the most frustrating thing. It doesn't add new features, but instead moves existing features somewhere else. What was once the tool window has been moved to the left side panel of the clip view. It's present for both MIDI and audio clips. You'll also notice that the mixer, rack, sequencer, and the back of the rack are all available as pages in this little tab toggle menu. Even though it takes some getting used to, I do have a new favorite feature in the sequencer, which I'll cover once I get through the rest of the changes and additions. The second feature I want to cover is the brand new browser. If you've been using Reason for a decade or so, you'll notice that it's floating again. It's no longer attached to the left side panel of the rack. The device browser is still on the left side though. Only the presets and audio files get this new treatment. The new treatment includes a fully fleshed tagging system to help you narrow your search if you choose that route. This saves you time from sifting through individual folders. It kind of reminds me of the Native Instruments Contact 7 tagging system, which I can honestly appreciate. I'll show you my favorite workflow improvement for the browser shortly, but for now, let's get into the next feature. Technically, this feature has multiple parts because it includes 5 new devices that are 4 effects and 1 instrument. I'll give you a sneak peek at what these can do as I explain them. Let's start with the Polytone dual layer synthesizer. It's essentially exactly what the name states, a polyphonic synth with 2 layers, meaning you can play more than 1 note at a time and mix in 2 different voices. There's a cool mode section that allows you to play a single sound from module A or B, mix both at the same time, or morph between the two like a DJ crossfader. Sonically, I think it's a nice addition that you can add to your arsenal. If you're already familiar with sound synthesis, it's really easy to use. If not, it's another device with cool dedicated presets you can explore. Here's a little loop I made using Polytone. The drums are not in Polytone, but I've included them in my new free drum kit, Dominate. The link for that is in the description. All the instruments used are up for grabs in your next beat or composition if you partake in the upgrade. Polytone has a knob that controls the age of the synth sound. The age knob simulates the vintage sound we've grown to love about analog synths. Turning this knob results in pitch and filter fluctuations. The age range goes from 2024 to 1970. Next, let's discuss Ripley Space Delay. It's a new addition to the effect family next to devices like the Echo or the Anti-Calf Rack DDL1. Although it is another delay device, Ripley has its own unique features that make it stand out. For example, the effect modules that allow you to sculpt your delays, noise, distortion, bit crushing, reverb, step filtering, a multi-point modulation approach that includes 2 LFOs, the ability to follow the level of the audio signal, and a matrix option to make changes with dedicated macros that include one button and one knob. If you're like me, you love experimenting with different devices when you're mixing. So this gives me a lot of ideas for rap and singing vocals in the new music I'm working on. And by the way, if you want any one-on-one sessions with me to learn the tricks in this trade, the link to book with me will be in the description. Next on the device list are some quality of life enhancements with the sidechain, gain, and stereo tool. Now, sidechain is an alternative to your chosen sidechain workflow. It allows you to do the same things without tabbing to the mixer, and you can use it for creative gating or custom pump effects like this. The gain tool gives you more flexibility with the gain, width, and panning of your audio. But to be honest, I can see this being most useful in tracks to control the stereo field. The dual pan mode allows you to control the presence of your signal in the left and right channels separately for stereo tracks. I often do this in Pro Tools where I record and mix my vocals, and Ableton Live where I do about half of my beat making. So this will be great for the beat production stage of my process. Most of the other features are things you can find in other places within Reason, but I'll tell you about the feature I'm most excited to experiment with after I give an overview of the last device, stereo tool. I know the hardcore Reason folks are scratching their heads because they probably use an older device called M-Class Stereo Imager, which is native to Reason. But stereo tool can turn a mono signal into a bigger, wider stereo signal without causing phase problems. I'm sure you'll find use for its simplicity and elimination of phase issues while still relying on the M-Class Stereo Imager when necessary. Now, let's move to my 6 favorite features because I believe I saved the best information for last. First, as a heavyweight sample chopper, I love the new ability to automatically cut up clips by the transients, so no more right-click window necessary like in previous versions. Next, you can transpose multiple clips to a different key. This is possible in Logic Pro and FL Studio, so I'm happy to see similarities in this approach. Third, it's another quality of life update, but here goes. The home folder in the new browser takes you directly to the presets for the device in focus. Previously, you occasionally had to find that folder manually, depending on how you opened the browser. I know a lot of you are still scratching your head, like, okay, what's so special? But fourth, I have to mention the multiply switch in the new delay device, Ripley. It allows you to 2x or half the speed of the delay effect. It sounds like this. The next feature is the search option that pops up in the right-click menu of the rack. Suppose you have accumulated hundreds or thousands of plugins like me. In that case, it gets murky trying to remember developer names for the plugins you want to use. So this will unlock new workflow speeds for me personally. Last is number 6 on my list. It's the crossfade slider on the gain tool. It allows you to mix 2 separate audio signals like a DJ. My friends and I love to hop on the turntables when we're feeling it, so I know we can appreciate using this creatively in our productions. Now, to be real, as a seasoned Reason user, I know these features can be exciting. They could also be a bit dull. It depends on the perspective and how you used previous versions of Reason. What makes Reason unique is its rack, and thanks to the updates in Reason 11, you could use it anywhere in any other DAW. So the new devices could be fun to play with, and frankly, for the price, the new synth and delay could justify the upgrade. If you're comparing Reason to other DAWs, you would disagree. But if you compare Reason to other plugins, like Contact, where banks could easily cost you a limb, it makes sense. Most DAWs have adopted some sort of subscription model as well, so it really all comes down to perspective. But enough about my thoughts based on similar products in the market and my experience within Reason and other music software, because Reason is a DAW. First, not a plugin. unless they decide to change that. The bottom line is the most requested features have yet to be added, forcing a lot of folks into using different software. For example, MIDI outputs in the DAW for using creative plugins like Scalar or Captain Chords, or better time stretching and pitch shifting algorithms so our sample chops don't sound dilapidated. The list could last long, so I'll allow folks to chime in with unmet requests in the comment section. I'll be honest, again, I know the update could be helpful for many, but on the other hand, it could seem a bit redundant. And another point of honesty, my theory is that the folks who think it's redundant have already moved on. So I have two questions. One is, what do you think about Reason 13? And two, are you still interested or have you moved on?